Yo, welcome back to the GM Podcast. I'm Miller.
I'm Gav.
And today, I don't know really what we're doing, but we're just going to bring you guys some NBA debates.
Controversial questions.
Controversial questions. I got 3. He got 3.
Yeah.
So, how we going to start? You want to start or I want to? What you want to do?
I'll start it
All
off.
right, let's go.
Hopefully we don't have the same questions, but who's the best player of the 2000s? And then NBA.
Of the 2000s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tim Duncan.
Yeah?
It has to be Tim Duncan, right?
I don't think it has to.
I mean, LeBron played 7 years, so he didn't play the full 2000s. Kobe was a second fiddle for 4 of those early years.
Yeah.
Tim Duncan was the best player, and how many championships did he win? Like, at least 2. He won in 05 and 07, I believe.
Yeah.
I would say Tim Duncan has to be the best player of the 2000s.
He won one. Yeah.
That's me. Like the guy who owns that decade. I'm not saying he was the best at a particular time, but I think he definitely owns that decade.
But I would say Shaq.
You would say Shaq
from just a dominance of like.
But
it's just.
And, he had 3 championships.
I know you're supposed to go next, but that leads into my second question.
Okay.
Who's better, Shaq or Kobe? Like who's better?
That's such a tough one, bro. Because for me, obviously, bigs can't close games, right? Yeah. And that's the big thing with me. But everything else just tells you Shaq because of how dominant he was.
He was.
And even efficiency-wise, I'm going to say Shaq.
Yeah.
I think Shaq is
Shaq's
a better
than Kobe?
Yeah, I think he's more dominant as a force. He commands more attention. You can depend on him in more situations. Like in 2006, with the Miami Heat, he was taking over Game 7s. Yeah. Obviously not in the finals, but he was taking over Game 7s in those series with D. Wade.
And the reason I would say Kobe is because Shaq, I think, was maybe better in a sense of dominance. Yeah. But one thing that I know would translate from every era, and not saying Shaq wouldn't translate in every era, because if Shaq was in today's era, like, He would kill because he would have Chet on him, like because
and Wemby.
He would change the style of the league back to you have to have a big man.
Exactly.
Because if he did that against those back to the basket strong bigs rather than these 7-foot skinny bigs, Shaq in today's era.
I mean, look at what Jokic does.
Look at what Jokic does. Multiply that.
Exactly.
Is what Shaq would be dominance wise in the paint.
It wouldn't be close.
So,
and he's a great passer.
Kobe's game. He's a great passer. Kobe's game, he makes shots. So there's no hole in Kobe's game. Like not hypothetically, like actually, you could foul Shaq. You know, there's ways to. Yeah. And I'm not saying that that's just an easy out because eventually you would foul out, whatever. Yeah. But there is no weakness in Kobe's game. Yeah. He can do literally everything. While Shaq. You know, like, the only thing I guess you could say, I don't know. Yeah, that I would say Kobe because there's no exact weakness in his game.
Yeah. I mean, you got to pray for him to miss shots at the end of the day.
Yeah,
but yeah, I just think Shaq was too dominant.
Like you said, with the closing the game, someone has to get Shaq the ball.
Yeah. So that's very true. So it's my question now, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. This one is going to be a great one. Who is the third best NBA shooting guard of all time?
James Harden.
James Harden?
James Harden is.
James Harden?
James Harden is.
Let me know why.
So, there has been players, Dwayne Wade. Yeah. Do you want to throw in, go ahead, before I start this, like throw in any names that would be around there? Allen Iverson. So, there's players that, one more maybe, and had, obviously, like, career stack up. But the 36 points per game run of James Harden, like, no one knew how to guard him. People were standing behind him. Yeah. You had, like, there was no scheme. Like, he had Clint Capella sit and block. Yeah. And it's kind of how I talk about Luka and Lively. The way Lively doesn't really have to get that much better because Luka's just going to. He had Capella, PJ. Like, offensively, I don't know all time who I would take over him better outside of the Jordans,
the KDs,
and the only reason I'm taking those over Harden is because of clutchness and efficiency.
Right. And let me take over on that one.
Okay.
So I think for that third spot, like you said, Dwayne Wade, Harden, Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
Right. For me, those three players right there all have a fatal flaw. For Allen Iverson, it's his longevity. He wasn't doing it as long as these other two guys.
And height.
And height. James Harden,
Playoffs.
clutch. We've always questioned if he was clutch or not, and we still do to this day.
And
Dwayne Wade
it sucks. Yeah, keep going.
Dwayne Wade, it feels like he's never had the star power like James Harden or Allen Iverson. In my opinion, he was never up there with top threes in the league. Because I feel like people were saying Harden was top 3 at a certain point.
Oh yeah,
for sure. But I'm gonna go with Allen Iverson, and let me tell you why. I think that 2001 season was the best season out of either one of all of those players, and I value peak, as you know.
For sure.
I'm huge, which is why we had Kawhi Leonard talks, which is why we had Nikola Jokic talks. There are some players to where I look at them, and even though they're not ranked as highly on some all-time list, he was a guy that couldn't be stopped in 01 against the Lakers. He got a game off of those Lakers with nobody on his team. Dwayne Wade, we always talk about his run, but like I said earlier in his video, Shaq was there to help him in Game 7s when he needed it. LeBron was always there for D-Wade. So for D-Wade, honestly, D-Wade would be 5th on my list, honestly. Okay. And Harden would be 4th for me. Okay. But in Harden, he needs a moment still to this day.
He needs a moment.
And unfortunately, I don't think he'll get it because he's getting old at this point. But yes, 2017, 2018, when he was ranked as a number 1 seed, and I saw him play against Golden State, his presence wasn't as felt as in the regular season when he was going for 60.
For sure.
He wasn't as effective for me, and that matters. Yeah. Because Iverson took down Ray Allen in 7. He took down Vince Carter in 7. And he eventually he made his team win.
Yeah. And he ran into low-key a Luka situation.
Absolutely. They were just better.
Yeah, they were just better.
I don't know. I think Allen Iverson's peak was higher than both of theirs.
And that's a good point. And one thing I think a lot of these players he's nowhere on this all-time list, but one of my favorite players of all time, Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah.
But Allen Iverson. So Allen Iverson was so dominant. His move. So let's take the Harden step back. Let's take the Dirk fadeaway.
Skyhook.
The skyhook. They banned AI's move. The one he perfected. And he still dominated the league. And then they unbanned the rule the moment he left the league.
And people do it to this day.
So, and a lot of people are going to watch film. Not saying that Allen Iverson, because his highlights are good. But people are going to watch Allen Iverson film and say he wasn't as skilled or this and that as Kobe or Harden. The things. So, Kobe was not... Because actually, I wouldn't even throw Jordan. I would throw Jordan in that same thing with AI of not a deep bag, not an extremely deep bag. But if I'm the fastest player on the court and I jump the highest on the court, why do I need a counter?
Exactly.
Why am I giving you props for having a counter when my crossover and blow by you just works?
It just works. It works. No one could stop it.
Why do I need a counter?
That's my point.
Why do I need a counter?
You don't need a counter. You literally don't need a counter.
Why does Jordan need a counter? He can rise up.
Why does Shaq need a counter?
Why does Shaq need a counter?
There are certain players that you cannot stop.
You don't need a counter.
And certain players, like James Harden, in my opinion, who is, once again, that 36 a game, that 40-point run, ridiculous. He's one of the best scorers we've ever seen.
Ever.
But when he gets to those clutch moments, the ball ain't going in the basket at the same rate. And that's the reality.
I don't think his... Because with Luka, he's sort of a better... Because he's bigger, he can get to the basket easier, maybe like a layup. He can get a layup easier, or he could post. That's really what it is. He could post up certain players, and Harden couldn't do that. So Harden is simply relying on jump shot making, which doing that 4 straight games is difficult.
It's tough
because he had good playoff games.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But he never is in the big one. He never completed the series. If that makes sense. And
I mean, he had some big games with the Sixers against y'all.
Yeah,
but big game.
Yeah,
it goes how it always goes.
Tatum 51 game 7.
Yeah, I mean,
But I'll go to my last question.
No,
Or you got one more. You want one more?
Because I got
Okay.
2 more, so I'm gonna
Sounds
ask one
good.
more.
Sounds
Who or where is Russell Westbrook ranked on your all-time point guard list?
5.
5. You know that off rip.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've done it. I don't know
Who do
my
you-
5, but I've.
Who do you? I thought you were gonna have him much lower. Who do you have over him?
So obviously Curry.
Okay.
Can we just pull up top point guards all the time?
I mean Magic.
So Magic, Curry.
I mean you got the Jason Kidds. You got the Steve Nash. You got the.
Yeah, no.
You got the Chris Paul's, John Stockton's. Isaiah Thomas is up there.
Isaiah Thomas is
For
so
sure.
Isaiah Thomas, Magic. There's just one more that I just can't think
Kyrie
of.
is up there if you want to throw him
Kyrie
in
might have been my 4.
there. Really? Kyrie?
Yeah.
I can't hate on that.
Kyrie might have been my 4 if
So none of the white point guards are
and
on your
that's where I'll get into my next question. But we can finish this conversation. Yeah, I'd have him. I really like Chris Paul all the time. Like I know people hate on, but I like Chris Paul.
You like Chris Paul over Russell Westbrook?
Oh no. Oh no. Yes.
Do you like bro?
Like
what?
it's like as an individual, it goes back to where they have their strengths and weaknesses.
Fatal
Kind of like
flaws, exactly. And
they
what
have
do you
their fatal
value?
flaws.
Let me
I don't. So like Westbrook, I think there's flaws in him not having rings.
Yeah.
I don't think there's flaws in CP3 not having rings, other than injury. Like
right.
that makes sense. So it's not like a play style thing. It's not like oh yeah they don't fit. CP3 don't fit with. It's never that for me because he's did it with OKC.
But I done seen Chris Paul and a fatal flaw that always kills me is when their playoff performance in the it drops, and he still does his
I was
performance
about to
drops
say,
off.
I think it translates to his play style translates to winning. So he's a winner. I really think he's a winner.
Okay, it does, but he still doesn't make shots at the frequency he does in the regular season. That's we've seen it year after year.
But yeah,
and Russell Westbrook obviously nothing else.
Yeah, nothing
like nothing different.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. What do you have him? Where do you have him?
I have him 4.
Okay. Yeah, I would say 4 to 5 because as an individual, like he's been a better individual than Kyrie.
And Damian Lillard, we didn't even mention as well.
For sure. But that's really all I have to say about that. My next question is, who's the most overrated player all time in the NBA? All time, who's the most overrated NBA player? I would
definitely have to think about this. I see. Like I'm gonna avoid going like way back in time.
Yeah, don't
because
go too
the
far.
easy answer would be like, damn,
Bob
Elgin
Cooley.
Baylor.
Yeah. But we don't talk about Elgin Baylor. So be real.
Nah,
Like,
answer yours first because this is
John Stockton.
Oh my gosh,
John Stockton. And I watched John Stockton, and
well, you remember we was watching his film and we was just
I watched John Stockton, and I'm big on most of the time. I'm big on judging you by what you did in your era.
Yeah.
Because eventually there will be a LeBron that's taller or whatever.
Yeah.
And we still have to give LeBron his props for what he did in this era.
For sure.
Because there eventually will be better training compared to this era.
Yeah.
Vice versa, like, obviously by the eye test, there will be a better... I mean, by the eye test, Wembanyama will be better than Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
But we have to compare what he did in his era versus what he did in his era. That's how I try to do my rankings. But when I watch John Stockton, I think he is an elite passer. I don't see why Chris Paul couldn't do what he did. Like I don't like
easily. I don't even throw him in those conversations.
I don't. There's nothing. Like maybe T.J. McConnell with Chris Paul's passing.
Yeah.
I'm not wowed. He wasn't. I don't know. I just wasn't. I like Karl Malone's game.
I would say Karl Malone is more overrated than John Stockton. Because I'm not gonna lie,
I can say from a
Karl Malone is the first person that popped in my head when you asked that question, which is funny.
But from a physicality standpoint, I would say Karl Malone like could play in a lot of eras, or he's I don't know, like.
But he wouldn't be as good as he was.
He wouldn't be as good as he was, but I think John Stockton in today's era would be fighting with Peyton Pritchard for minutes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like Karl Malone could still be a 16 to 18 point per game guy.
Yeah, it's so
with the
tough for me
with
to
the
think.
mid range. Like he could be He could still be a really good player. Yeah, John Stockton, if he was on the Celtics right now, I don't know if I would play him or Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Peyton Pritchard
has a bat.
He has a different type of bag.
He has a bag.
Well, he had 90 in that one
in the
Pro-Am. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I'm playing Peyton Pritchard.
So
I ain't gonna lie, John Stockton can run the third unit.
Yeah, that's fine. Bro, I don't know who I would say is the most overrated. It's tough because Karl Malone is the first guy that comes in my head.
Yeah.
And honestly, the only guy.
Yeah. But you don't like him.
I mean, what is there to like? like, what do you represent if you like him as a basketball player?
I know who Bryson would have said.
Who?
Paul Pierce.
Paul Pierce. Bro, Paul Pierce
was nice.
He was a bucket, though, bro.
Yeah,
like, he puts it, like,
whether
bro,
you like him or not, bro, Paul Pierce was a bucket.
I feel like these legends, like 2000 on, I can't really think of a guy where honestly, let's do it. Chris Paul.
Yeah?
I think he is very overrated. Just his scoring volume isn't enough for me.
Yeah.
I just that's the only reason why. And what?
Rudy Gobert?
Oh yeah, no. See, I actually thought about him as well, but we just talked about him last video, and I don't want to slander him too much.
I do.
But Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert.
There's no. If there was a crown for overrated, it goes to Rudy Gobert.
Do you have one more question?
Yeah, I have one more.
Before you ask your last question, I just want to know, when we go by overrated, what do you think about, like, from an all-time perspective, what do you think about Carmelo? Do you label him as a not winner, not like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would never call him overrated.
He was a bug. It don't change the fact that he was nice.
Listen, and that's what I was thinking about. And some guys that popped into my head, Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady.
Well, Vince Carter had Kobe Jordan talent.
Those guys are too skilled to call overrated.
Yeah. Because
when they wanted to tap in, and if they ever played the right way, it works.
I think from Vince Carter, I just don't think he had the killer that those legends had.
Exactly.
I don't think it was ever
But skill-wise, if a player is skilled and you can see that they're skilled, you cannot call them overrated.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. Like we just said, we said Karl Malone and John Stockton. These aren't really the most skilled guys. I see where you're going. All right, last question. Start, bench, cut. Jaylen Brown, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell.
I'm going to tell y'all how I truly feel by an eye test and really watching situations.
Okay.
I'm cutting Devin Booker. I'm benching Jaylen Brown, and I'm starting. I'm starting Jaylen Brown, and I'm benching Donovan Mitchell. I'm not saying, once again, we would have won the series. I've seen Donovan Mitchell. I think about this year. Donovan Mitchell just went and got a game on us Celtics. I would have loved to see if he was healthy for the rest of the series. They wouldn't have won, but I would have loved to see if he could force 6, which no one else could do in the entire NBA. Like, no one forced 6 against us. So that would have held some value if he took the Celtics to at least 6 while no one else did.
Yeah. But he didn't.
Him and Jamal Murray going back and forth in the bubble. Watching Donovan Mitchell, the only thing I question with him is the point guard shooting guard fit thing translating.
That's where I'll hop in.
Okay.
Yeah, he's cut.
Yeah.
He's cut. He doesn't have a role in this league. He just doesn't.
Okay.
He does not have.
You're trying to build a team and you're starting, you're benching, you're cutting.
But this is where we can start the argument though. Devin Booker, I would start him.
I expected you to say that.
You did?
Yeah, I expected you to say that. I'm just telling you how I truly feel.
So how you feel about Devin Booker? Let the people know.
Truly about Devin Booker. So I think he, I don't care. I care about his numbers. Sorry, I know he shot the 3 ball well this year, but from a playoff and a scouting, I don't know. He had a lot of empty calorie buckets against the Timberwolves. Mm-hmm. Like, he had a 40 or something point game, maybe damn near 50, but 40 something point game. Like, but it was empty calorie buckets, if that makes sense. It gave me Dak Prescott vibes. But I think Devin Booker is extremely talented. He's dropped 70 in this league and lost. But he's dropped 70 points. He's dropped 70.
Wait, wasn't that against y'all? That's how you know? Was that against Boston?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He dropped 70 points in a game. He's been to the finals. But this might be one of those shooting guards where we talk about, let's say Phoenix pairs him with another superstar. So he'll play with Chris Paul. He'll play with Kevin Durant. a first round pick in Ayton. It's not like they're pairing him with.
See, but I don't know if you're looking too much into the circumstance that he's been in, though. He didn't have a bad finals against Milwaukee.
He didn't have a bad finals. I didn't say he had a bad finals.
And I would say that Chris Paul fell off a little bit more than he did in that finals.
I think Chris Paul played well.
Not as well as Devin, but I feel like I feel like his losses aren't bad losses. I'll put it like that. Like I don't think he has a blemish on his career. I think Devin I think Devin Booker.
And I'm not gonna
people
lie.
overreact to his situation because and we were Devin Booker haters while the entire Olympics was going on because we don't think he's Jason Tatum, obviously.
And he's not.
Right. But I think Devin Booker, he's the guy that had to play point guard for 2 straight years now. And he's not a point guard.
Yeah. No, yeah, he's not a point guard.
So it's like I feel like we forget how much of a bucket he really is.
No, he's a bucket. And a mid-range assassin.
And I think he's better than Jaylen Brown. And maybe mentality changes it because Jaylen Brown's mentality is
and that's where I was about to get to. Jaylen Brown, I would take his mentality, but also, and not saying, I don't know how to put it, because Devin Booker's been on talented teams, but he's also been on trash teams.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown is a better defender, and I love his dog mentality. I really think it makes up for Tatum's silent killer.
Yeah.
Tatum is a silent killer. He's like,
he's a dog.
It's just a perfect duo, but that's besides the point. Jaylen Brown, to me personally, he has great numbers. Like, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum both. Because I only end up talking about Jason Tatum most of the time because that's what the media has been bringing up recently. Another player I would love to see just go to the Bulls or somewhere and be a 7-6 seed just because of him, or maybe like an 8 seed. I don't think people understand what Jaylen Brown's numbers would be if he was like, and we probably will never know because they're both in such.
But do you think that would be? I don't think that'd be elevated.
Jaylen Brown's numbers would be elevated somewhere else.
I don't think so.
I know so.
I think
he's playing second fiddle,
which is good for him.
It's good for him.
I think Devin Booker is he's just more skilled.
He's more skilled.
He's more skilled. He's more fluid in his game. He just knows how to score better, in my opinion. Like
he's a more skilled player, a more complete, and
he's not a bad defender. Devin Booker has learned.
I would love to see.
He's learned to compete on that end of the floor.
No, he's not a bad defender. It's just
that's what I think. Devin Booker has just done more.
Yeah. Like as an individual.
As an individual, because obviously he's won a championship, but I mean Devin Booker.
It's just one of those things. Like I would really love to see Jaylen Brown on a team where I know Jason Tatum would kill if he was alone, but
Jason Tatum for sure because he can do everything.
Yes, he's already done. He's already averaged 30 on the Celtics. Yeah. Imagine what he would average on a trash team.
Yeah,
he would have Luka numbers, 34. Like, but
wait, sorry, cut that out. 32 maybe.
On a trash team?
I don't want to give him Luka numbers, though.
34. He could average 34. He wouldn't have the rebounds, but, well, shoot. I don't know. Bro. He could average 4 more points a game than he... Because he had Marcus...
Did he average 30 this year?
No. Not this year. I'm saying the year before that, he averaged 30. Only Celtic in Celtic history.
I'll give him 32.
To average 30.
We got compromise. Yeah.
At least 33.
Extra bucket.
Bro. At least 33, bro.
33? We got to get to 33 now?
Bro, John Stockton's trash.
All right. Well, we relapsed. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in.
Devin Booker.
Rudy Gobert. Never. John Stockton or Devin Booker? Is that a serious question?
Nah, let's cut the video.
Yeah, all right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out.